Oh, Greyhill Incident. You could have been something so good. You could have been something considered a cult classic, a gem, a diamond in the rough, because there's nothing really like you. Nobody ever really hits on the classic aliens. It's been very few and far in between where we ever get aliens like the classic stories. And all of that is just squandered on a poor gaming experience all around. I would have been a little bit more merciful if the story was decent. Unfortunately, the story falls flat in every shape and form. I would have been okay with a poor, corny, goofy story, B rated type of movie if the gameplay was good. It's not. It's not good. It's not fun to play. It has a lot of issues. The pacing is off. The combat is terrible. The game is short. There is just nothing good about this game. The only thing that I can say about this game that I feel is okay is the fact that there might be something good hiding behind all of this that might appear in this developer's next game. The fact that there were so many issues with subtitles, so many issues with the vocals, so many times where dialogue would bleed into each other, and you would just sit there and be like, what is anybody even saying? Because you couldn't understand it because everything just kind of bled together. The voice actors did a terrible job unless they were really going for a campy style. That's the only thing I could say would be a plus in the actual voice acting. If they were going for super campy with no sort of tension whatsoever, they nailed it. If they were going for something that was a little bit of a more serious tone and tried to make it seem like this was going to be kind of a tension based, scary ish type game, they completely failed at it. Now, the graphics are a weird 50-50 for me because some of the environments look really cool. Some of the aspects of this set invasion are kind of strange and they almost seem like they're asset flips. I don't know if everything was built from the ground up in this game or if you're talking about some things that were bought off, a marketplace in order to get this thing up and running. But little things like just putting boards on the outside windows of your house instead of them being boarded up on the inside, which is kind of like a, wouldn't you know that? Why would you board up the outside windows? So little graphical things like that in the game really like take you out of the immersion. The character models are absolutely terrible. Aside from the aliens, which look like little gray aliens with big bulgy eyes that have awkward movement, but can be kind of like looked past because they're aliens. Maybe they do have awkward movement. Maybe they walk funny like that. The human models, there was no reason for human models to even be in the game. They could have done the entire thing through walkie talkies or phone lines or something of that nature where everybody is just kind of like a voiceover. The character models look scarier than the aliens themselves. There's even this little girl that you see later on in the game, and it's like, that is scary. I don't know what kind of town this is or what they have going on here, but man, everybody just looks like there's something not right, whether it's in the water or the food they're eating, but everybody just looks like they're tweaking out. And it's just, again, another aspect of the game that just takes you out of it, takes you out of that immersion of these decent environments. So the story revolves around you playing as this guy named Ryan, who honestly, who cares about his backstory because there really isn't one. Uh, and you have a son, and for whatever reason, he gets abducted. The government knows about it or whatever, and you're trying to basically save your son. Everything else really doesn't matter. You come across characters that have story ish. I mean, they're kind of just there, I guess, again, to fluff out the game. But you don't care about them. You don't get any type of drive to understand who they are or what they're doing and characters will die, and you're just kind of like, okay, like who cares? It's just, again, more of a walking simulator with some combat thrown in, some very basic combat thrown in, and you're just trying to get to the end. That's it. The story is not going to, keep you on the edge of your seat. It's not going to make you think, oh man, what happened to this person or what's going on here. It really is just a very short game that feels more like a tech demo than anything else. The sound is okay in the game. The aliens have some pretty cool sound effects. They make a little clicking noise when they're nearby, and their phasers have a really cool laser sound to them. Other than that, the voice acting is absolutely terrible. There's really not much other sound in the game, so you're kind of stuck listening to these horrible dialogue pieces over walkie-talkies and sometimes in person with some people. Again, you can literally not care about anything that's happening or being said because none of it really matters in the end. Really strange dialogue choices are made throughout the game. One that really caught my eye that just didn't make any sense to me unless I am not understanding what an RV is. They talk about picking up tinfoil on the kitchen desk. And I have never heard of it called the kitchen desk. If it is called that, and I completely apologize for this, but for me, it's a kitchen sink. So little things like that just were very odd, and it just didn't make any sense. They try to put this tension in the voices, and it just comes across as extremely forced, extremely fake, and you just really don't think these people really cared about the dialogue or what they were saying, or even if they knew what they were talking about. Maybe they didn't even know what the story was. They were just reading this very basic script and just thought, hey, they were doing the best they could with the information and the stuff they got. The game plays okay. It's a very typical first person game. There's really not much that you could mess up, except they did mess up the combat. You have a couple ways of fighting the aliens. So you basically can get a baseball bat or a gun that has very limited ammo throughout the levels. Or level. It's really kind of one area that opens up as you go along, which is kind of a cool thing, but again, doesn't really help it overall. Now, the one thing that really hurts it is the way that the combat mechanics are for the bat. It's very slow. There's like this nasty reload that happens where you swing the bat and then it takes you like 10 seconds to be able to swing the bat again. The range on the bat is very short, and if you miss trying to attack an alien, you're probably going to get captured because of how long it takes for you to swing the bat again. Now, again, if you do miss with the bat, good luck. It's going to be tough. If you get out of the grasp of the alien, you still have to wait that timer again. You can't just immediately use it again. It makes combat very frustrating, not fun, and makes it you never want to encounter the aliens. Yeah, you're supposed to be stealthing through them or getting past them, but at the same time, if you do get caught by them and seen, you would at least hope that there would be some fun to fighting the aliens. There really isn't any. Steer clear of all of the aliens and just try to get through each section of the game without being seen, which is kind of hard to do when there really isn't stealth in the game either. The main way that they see you is what it seems to be like a cone of vision in front of them. So, which is very wide. So if any bit of you is seen, they're on top of you. Whether you're hiding behind a tree, hiding behind a truck, whatever the case may be, it doesn't make a difference how dark it is. They're probably going to see you, and they're probably going to start chasing you. And then it's just another loop of trying to swing the bat, trying to make sure your stamina doesn't go all the way down. And if you have a gun with the ammo, you can probably shoot it, but then you're just going to get other ones to come to you once you start shooting the gun. So how fun is this game? For me, not at all. I did not have really any fun aside from probably the first time I saw an alien and it did a little jump scare behind me. After that, it was all downhill from there. The game is just tedious. It's frustrating. It's hard to understand where your objectives are. The combat is terrible. The movement isn't very good. The way that you sprint isn't very good. Invisible walls that block off your path of where you're supposed to go just really, again, take you out of the game, take you out of that immersion. Little things like not even being able to jump over a fence or jump over a small tree in the road. The fact that you can't even jump over it is just another just detriment to the game overall. Like I said earlier, the game ends very quickly. It's a very short game. This game took me about 2.5 hours to get through. If I knew where I was going, I could probably beat this game in under 30 minutes. It's that short. The only thing that really pads it out are these unskippable dialogue options you have with characters. Once that's done, it's just a matter of getting from point A to point B and just finishing out the game. And again, that was one of the biggest issues I had with this game was the ending. No spoilers, just in case you do decide that you want to play this, but it just ends abruptly. Right when you think the game is going to start and you're going to get into like the meat of what was happening, it just says, nope, that's it. It really plays like almost like a tech demo or hey, this is what I could be making. So the fact that this game is $24.99, $34.99 on consoles, there's no reason for it to be that price. And this is a full release game. This isn't early access. This isn't a demo for a bigger game. This is it. So what you pay for is the game. And the fact that it just abruptly ends with nothing else to it just feels like it's just unfinished. It feels like it could have been so much more and it just stops like we're done. That was it. That was your gameplay. There's just no positives to that. There's no positives to a game that you're being charged $25 on PC, $35 on consoles, and then that's the amount of gameplay you get. If it was early access or the developers were just bringing it out just for you to kind of test out the waters before the real thing happens, I'd be all for it. But with the amount of issues the game had, the amount of weird pacing that happened, it's not worth it. And if you just want that type of alien style game where that's like the classic Aliens just to have, I guess, because there's really not many other games out there like that. My advice, though, go watch Mars Attacks. Go rent that because that's going to be cheaper to rent, and you're probably going to have more fun with that than with this game.